Hi everybody, I hope you are doing good. Today it's our new Get Talk. We are going to welcome Nieves, which is the CEO of Kurssel. Kurssel it's a company that creates premium or luxury coats. And today we are going to discover this company together. So let's go! The name Kurssel comes originally from Rue de Kurssel, which phonetically in French is very different. But I wanted something to remind me of this street because it's where I tried almost 30 to 50 coats and none of them fit me. And it's a frustration that I've had for a very long time finding clothes that fit me. So I always wanted to have the name of this street in mind. I also lived in Mexico for almost 2 years and in the US for half a year and also in Portugal for half a year. And the way that these experiences have molded what I think of is luxury is because it has these experiences have allowed me to meet many different people and see how certain people see luxury. So then I decided to create my own vision of luxury. And for me, luxury is something ethical. It's good for the planet, and is something that is beautiful and precious and perfect for different types of people, but not necessarily for everyone. This means that two important points. The first one is that you should not have to compromise your values just because you are struggling to find something of your size. So this is very difficult when you're petite because the only thing you want is to find something your size that actually fits you properly. But then you don't have many options. So then seeing if something is ethical is very difficult because you're already barely finding something that fits you. And the second point is I want petite women to feel beautiful and not be negatively affected by the beauty ideals where the fashion models, they're like 1 meter 80 for women, and then for men they're 1 meter 85. And I think it's really important that we are able to feel beautiful in our size. And by creating a brand, I'm also creating a universe in a way where the ideal of beauty in Kurssel is petite women. And made in France is really important for me because France has one of the best workers' rights in the world. There is social security, you have subsidized medical care, and it includes the dentist. You have unemployment benefits, you have maternity leave, all these benefits that no one would even dream of having in a country, for example, like India, like China, like in Peru, where there's so much not only not good workers' rights, but it's very easy to ignore them. In France, it's not that easy, and they are really enforced, and employees have a lot of rights that they don't have in another place. But regarding quality, in France, they really know how to work and how to make clothes at a very high level. And that's why, and I'm also French, so I wanted to have a connection as well with the country that is making the pieces, not just some random country and then have no relation to it. And it's all about having a short circuit, having a low carbon footprint. So we use fabrics that were dead stock, so it means that they're new, but they were excess stock that another French producer was not going to use anymore. So that reduces the carbon footprint because it means the fabrics were already here in France, and that is very respectful of the environment, and it goes completely in the opposite direction of the current retail strategies that brands have, which is to create a lot and then destock in different ways, putting margins, profit margins that are really, really high, and then doing sales for Black Friday in January, every season, Easter sale, many, many sales. And people think that they're losing money, but they're not. It's just part of their strategy to destock in a way. But the entity that really pays for this is the environment, because all this requires transportation costs, moving stock from one place to the other, keeping stock longer, electricity, heating, shipping, and also when brands try to destock, they sell their clothes to poor countries to try to get rid of them, and sometimes they end up in wastelands, and that is something that I would like to avoid, having a fair, transparent pricing, and also by not having sales, because for the respect of the artisan's work, but also for the respect of the materials, which are all noble, 100% natural fibers, and just to be more transparent with the client, because I think clients are customers in general from clothing, all of us basically, we're getting tired of being lied to or paying for very expensive luxury and then finding out that they found sweatshops of these brands. So I think it's really important to go back to the basics and just do things honestly, transparently, and in a kinder way to nature. Petroleum-based fabrics such as polyester, elastane, acrylic, and then mixes of natural fibers with any of these petroleum-based fabrics have been proven to have endocrine disruptors, which affect our hormones, which is why it's very toxic for babies who are less than 2 years old to wear polyester. But yes, it's super toxic for them, but it's also bad for grown-ups. So it's something we should really take care of. And I know so many women who are going through some hormonal problem. And of course, we cannot see the correlation directly because it's something that takes many, many years. But it is true that because of our food and because of what we're wearing, it's affecting our hormones because of endocrine disruptors. So that's why it's so important for me to have natural fibers. It's not just because of how it feels and how it looks. It's also important for women's health, especially. I've had many difficulties and I keep having many difficulties. But I guess it's really difficult to start as a small brand because of the minimum order quantities, which are huge to buy fabric. And buying dead stock is not necessarily cheaper because you need to stock this dead stock and also buy it beforehand because it might not be available at some point. So it's all the logistics of paying money up front for the things that I think is the real difficulty, and you need to plan that really well to manage your cash flow properly. The most important thing is to sleep enough hours because if not, you will be tired and in a bad mood. That's obvious. But it's also really important to eat very well, to drink a lot of water. And then if you're really stressed, you need to be able to breathe. Not necessarily do a formal empty head meditation, but just feel and listen to your breath for at least a few minutes every day, and it will change everything, I think. And doing sports obviously also helps a lot. learned that I'm not as chill as I thought, and that I do get stressed because at work I used to not get stressed, but now I do get stressed. it, it was it was really nice to appear on the front page of a Swiss newspaper, and I think it's just something that needs to be built slowly, and especially in a country where they really value sustainability and ethical working conditions. And to have appeared on the front page of a newspaper, it really meant a lot. When one of my mannequins de sillage, which is a friend, told me, "Wow, this coat is really perfect. It's amazing. You're gonna do great." And because she's a very stylish person and she's 1 meter 56 and very thin, so very, very petite. And it means that if she's able to be happy with this product and she feels the difference with a normal size clothing, that it will be really good for other petites as well. My dream is for Kurssel to become the reference luxury brand for petite women in Europe. We see a lot of luxury, but then we find out it's not very ethical, it's not sustainable, it's not good for our hormones. But I want Kurssel to remain a very honest and transparent brand that really makes petite women feel beautiful and can break the stereotype that petite women are second, third class citizens. I want petite women to be seen as equals as tall women, basically. I think the only way it will evolve is through legislation, through having mandatory carbon footprint measurements in clothing, showing the real transparency of where clothing are made. A good example is the Swiss brand called Qualité. They make underwear and pajamas and loungewear. And when you scan a QR code when you buy clothing from the brand, you can see in which country each part was made. Because people think that when it says made in Turkey, for example, or made in Italy, that it was only made in that one country, but that's completely untrue. It's usually been made in at least 3 different countries, and the law requires that something has to be made 75, at least at 75% in one country for it to be considered from that country, and it has to be the main part of the garment. But that's not the case because no one controls that. But also, for example, to make a pair of jeans, the jean travels more than many people will in their whole life. It goes to the Philippines, it goes to Cambodia, it goes to China, it goes to Vietnam, because the jean gets sent to wherever it's cheaper to do a certain little part. And so most of the clothing that we are wearing, especially if you wear fast fashion, it has traveled so much more than you could imagine, but we don't know about it. That's why we don't even think about it. And I think the only way brands will actually think about being transparent and start doing something about these long circuits is through legislation, if the EU forces certain rules on companies. Yes, definitely. I think one of the main reasons that we have lost so much contact with how we treat the planet is because we're not sufficiently connected to nature. We're in cities the whole time, and the time we spend out in nature is becoming so scarce. And I think if we would spend more time out in nature, we would realize that we have only one planet and that it's really important to take care of it. And another reason is because originally I was born in the Amazon rainforest in Peru. I'm not from Lima. And the Amazon, as you know, is disappearing. So it's really time for people to wake up and realize that just because you're going to save 25 euros, it's not going to do anything for the planet, that you really need to do effort and wear a lot less clothes, buy a lot less clothes, but buy a lot better also. I would like to have plus size because currently, if you are a petite and plus size woman, you have to choose, should I take normal clothes? Should I take petite clothes? Or should I take plus size clothes? And that's a real problem because the morphology of a petite woman means her back is quite narrow, even if she's plus size. It's the bone structure. So a petite plus size woman has to choose between 3 body types, but they're not really adapted to her. The petite will not be big enough, and then the normal size is just huge but tight in certain areas, and then the plus size is for a very tall plus size woman usually. So I think doing plus size petite is going to really help a lot of women feel even more beautiful. When you're under 1.65 meters, you are already petite, because starting 1.64 meters, which in English is 5'4", I believe, and under, the morphology of your body changes completely. When petite women have backs that are narrower, not just arms, legs, torsos, busts that are shorter. So the whole shape of your body changes because it's the bone structure. That's why I wanted to focus on petite, but also because I'm 1.57 meters, so it's something I've always been struggling with. I also struggle with finding shoes my size because I'm size 35, but most size 35 shoes are too big for me. So it's really, really difficult to go shopping, for example. And I usually, when I do go shopping, I end up taking all my clothes to the retoucheur, and he basically knows my whole wardrobe. I think I would recommend first to build a community, and it's something that I've been told a lot, but I'm not so much into social media and such. I will have to get external help for this. But I think having a community is really, really important. So you can find clients, but also it's really important to have the support network, and not just from a business partner, for example, but also in your family. Have people support the idea, your friends support the idea, because if you have negativity in your life, it's not good for you, and some people are just very risk adverse. So I would recommend not taking advice from anyone who has not made it into whatever it is that you want to do. So for example, if you want to start a business, you should take advice only from a business person who has already achieved a certain level of success. If it could be even your mom, maybe, or your dad who is telling you, no, don't do this, but they've never ever done business, for example. I think it's really bad to speak to them about the project all the time, because it will be a bit negative for you. Luckily, I have many business people in my family, including my mom, who has a hotel in the Amazon. So being an entrepreneur is something I've always known in my family, and also in the schools I've been to, many people had parents who were entrepreneurs. So I think it's important to surround yourself with the right kind, with the people who have the right mindset, or at least who will support your project. Just because you will have many challenges, so you don't need more people bringing you down. I think there are many learnings. Every day I learn something. And every day I think, oh no, I should have not done that. It could have been better. Yes, there's this Japanese proverb. I don't know it by heart, but it's something like, if you got on the wrong train, don't be embarrassed to get off. And it doesn't matter if you have to pay for a more expensive ticket, just get off the train as soon as you can, because it's important to go in the right direction, and that the story is not about trains, but it's about life. So just to do, it's really important to do things fast, but sometimes you need to go back and redo them. But that I think you should do really fast. I think the word would be unique, because it requires a lot of education to understand why not to buy fast fashion, to really, really understand, and only by understanding it you will stop doing it. And this part of needing to educate people is a challenge, but I also think it's having a very unique vision. It's nothing that's going to change the world so much, but it will definitely make an impact with a certain amount of petite women, and I think that's very important for me. Before, I was having a lot of my clothing made for me. So, for example, I have an alpaca coat that was 100% tailored made for me, because I'm so tiny and it was the only way to guarantee it would be a perfect fit. But I also have blazers tailored made for me. I have pants, skirts. I've always gone with tailor made, and that way I could choose my fabric, choose really nice wool for my blazers, and choose the quality of alpaca, for example, for the coat. So I I had a lot of tailor-made clothes, to be honest, but it takes a lot of time. It's very expensive, especially in France. In Switzerland, it's also very, very expensive to get tailor-made clothes. And I have never really been a fan of any brand, because I usually need to find whatever fits me in whatever brand. But I've always prioritized the fabrics, so always gone with natural fabrics. But of course, when I was in university, for example, I used to buy fast fashion because I had no clue what went behind fast fashion. And I'm 33 right now, so when I was 18, I had no clue how dark it is in the back office of fashion brands. But no, I don't have any favorite fashion brand, because they're either not ethical or they don't fit me, or the quality is substandard. I won't really like it so much. I will have to mostly settle rather than being delighted by a piece.